सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीगुरु श्री हरि ओम हरि ओम। Today we begin in my book from page number 45. We have done 2 paragraphs after source of energy, begins from there. In the new book, 48. In the new book, it is 48. The old edition, 45. Source of energy, from there, as to just recap. Let's begin to read from there itself. Just after source of energy. To sum up, according to the great acharyas, action can be good only when the actor, the individual, has got a great purpose or goal. Having gained that goal or ideal for which we have concentrated all our education, whether it is a political or economical ideal, an ideal that you have chosen according to your own heart, it is not an ideal that somebody else has given you, but that which is appealing to you most. Then a new enthusiasm comes to you. And when there is enthusiasm, sincerity, ardor, and consistency of purpose automatically follow. When there is no enthusiasm or inspiration, consistency of purpose can never be. Thus, once you have got a goal, something higher than yourself, if there is a social vision or a national destiny that moves us forward, we discover within ourselves a new source of energy. And if this energy is not dissipated with the past memories, future anxieties, or present excitement, if these 3 holes through which all the mental energy can leak out are blocked properly, the entire energy that we discovered within ourselves is available for accomplishing the various activities that we undertake in the world. Activity is not what is performed merely by the hands. Where we are working with the hand, our heart also must be used. Thus, when the hand is working, if the head and the heart are present, there arises a new dynamism of artistic perfection in that undertaking. All such artists as have been able to work, putting their head and heart where their hands are working, have discovered the joy of a samadhi, a joy of religious ecstasy, because where the physical, mental, and intellectual personalities become integrated, the individual is nearer the perfection. nearer the actual experience of a welling joy from within. And in that atmosphere of joy, the individual is capable of working the best for himself and for others. Huh? So the three poles which dissipate energy, past regret, then what we have, past memories, future anxieties, and present excitement. This can be curtailed, blocked. Then we have the energy, we have conserved the energy. Not only that, be enthusiastic of whatever it is that you're doing. First of all, if that goal is, you should aspire for something much higher than what you usually do. Aspiration level should be high, and there should be great enthusiasm. Cultivate the enthusiasm. This is up to us to do. You know, we may not all be at the moment working on our most desired goal, what we really hope to do, what we dream about. Maybe we are doing something that is less than that. But cultivating this enthusiasm and cheerfulness about doing that is within us, in our hands, and we must be enthusiastic. Being enthusiastic about anything is a very sattvic quality. No? So whatever it is, if you can bring out this sense of interest, it is sone pe suhaga bolte. So these are the things that go. And when a task is accomplished this way, it's so beautiful. I mean, just because we are at this, we took we took an absence from last week's class because we were on this Padayatra. It seems like an apt example here when I give, because the yatris would take off, from a given point of time at a time. They had a goal much higher. It was an aspiration level. You don't simply take off to walking 25 to 30 kilometers a day. Nobody does that. I mean, simply in everyday life until you're compelled for some reason. But here you have a purpose, a goal, and all the yatris were enthusiastic about this. That's why they enrolled in the first place. So then what happened? With such cheerfulness, they would start, and they are aware of all the challenges. And it was challenging. Not that it was easy, this task. No? So almost every day, they would come back to wherever we had to, halt for our day, for the lunch, and rest for a couple of hours before they set foot again, and then reach another destination where we would halt for the night. Everyone was very happily, cheerfully, they said, this is the first time we are attending to our feet and not our face when we set out for a walk. It was, it was part of the game. They were getting blisters and corns and bruises, and because stones were pricking in, shoe bites, everything. They are with footwear all the time. And so every morning in that afternoon place is the place where they clean it and keep the wounds open, and then start for walk. Then you have to put up your makeup. What? All of your ointments and lotions and Vaseline creams and bandaging it and set for. Again, come back in the night, take care, dressing the feet, washing it, cleaning it. They said, we don't care what the face looks like for once. But you see how priorities change then, and they were very happy doing it. And then in the last day when they reached, what did they have to say? We don't know how we did it. What was this third source of energy that pushed us? It was not I who did it. If you ask me, I would not be able to walk. This was the response. So exactly what was happening. And they're all cheerful and happy with all this pain. No gain without pain is what I was telling them all day. And this sense of achievement and that sense of mental joy here, atmosphere of the joy that individual is capable, working for himself and for others. If this way one does, this is dynamic meditation. And let me tell you, I did hear there were a couple of yatris who told me when I was walking, either because of the walk itself, and they were, and each one was by themselves. And the moment you leave Bombay and you're walking towards Shirdi, it is open space, villages you cross, lot of greenery because it just started the lush green, after the rains. Beautiful drizzling somewhere. Most people said we found time for ourselves. We were with nature and we were alone. And we didn't fear anything. And there were stretches where they had no thought in the mind because the goal was I have to reach there, continue walking. So I don't think about anything, but I'm just enjoying the presence. So when they came back and told me, I tried meditating, but I could never get to that point where I had no thought. But while walking, Acharya, what happened? There were many places where I went on a stretch with no thoughts. And then the idea would come, oh, I have not had a thought for long. That would be a thought, which meant meditation was happening. So you see, it's possible this. This is when I said dynamic meditation, last class itself I had mentioned. So we must always look at working this, and this meditation should be constant. So when a totally integrated personality, using his body, speech, and mind to aspire for that goal alone, and focused and concentrated on that, he can be working in meditation. You don't have to take time out to meditate. Be it very, very ordinary chores like cooking and cleaning can become modes of meditation for us. See? So we must understand what is it that's working. If we know the dynamics of this, then each one of us can get into meditation with whatever it is that we are doing. Can get into the state of samadhi, where the dhi, the intellect, has gone into a state of samatvam, samam buddhi, sama. That's what it is. We usually put it very far from us. Samadhi is for some yogi to happen who's sitting in the cave, not meant for me. It is meant for each one of us. And we are each one capable to get into that state. Let's remember. But we must practice this. That's up to us. That's the effort. So we continue here. Any one of you who has got a hobby can very easily understand. When a man has got a hobby, he is working on it. Hobby means an activity of the hand and the leg wherein your head and heart are fully cooperating. When the hand is doing something wherein the head and the heart are also present. As in gardening, the man says it is a recreation for him. Another man says playing cricket from morning till evening is a recreation. Another man playing tennis or football or sweating in panting exhaustion would say it is recreation. If the same person was asked to sweat that much for doing a work for your neighbor, he would have protested that it is very difficult. But in spite of the amount of energy and perspiration spent on a tennis court or a football ground, you come home saying that you feel refreshed and rejuvenated. So you see, the tennis player not only put out his physical effort, but his head and heart were also in the game. He had, for the time being, forgotten all distraction of his mind, either of the past or of the future or for the present. He was pouring himself into the sport and he felt revived and rejuvenated. Similarly, from morning till evening, we could have spent all our energies outside with our hands and legs. But if only we knew the art of bringing our head and heart also to the field where we were working with the hand, then we would have discovered that the longer the hours we have put in, the greater was the exhilaration and joy. We have just forgotten this art or we are not applying this art. So remaining focused in what we are doing, concentrating there. Hands and legs are putting in the physical effort, the mind and the intellect, the emotional and the intellectual energy that is required to complete the task, all working in sync. You have to be a person of achievement. Simple as that. That is a pure mind. Available when I want it. And only working on that is required to. We have seen. Otherwise, how? Energies are dissipated. And then I'm working at it. Who is looking at me working? Is someone watching me? Nobody is watching. Shortcut kar lete hain. Somebody else is watching. Oh, let me do it properly. That person is going to judge me. These are excitement of the present. Otherwise, memories of the past. I have done so much, nobody bothered, and nobody thanks me, nobody is in gratitude. Da, 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 da. They always want me. I am only the servant in the house. Or about the future, check chilli. I will do this, then I will get that, then I will get that, then I will build the boat, then with this I should get such appreciation. With all that appreciation, what will I do? So then what has to be done is already energy dissipation has happened. And then even memory lapse happens. We have to remember to do some things which we'll keep on forgetting because we are not attending to it at that time. Because when we read it, it sounds simple, isn't it? And is there something that has been told that we never knew about? No, we know about. When we are reading it, we understand. Only application is this. This requires disciplining the mind. You and I feel disappointed and dejected in life, not because there is no work in the world. We are not discovering for ourselves a work wherein not only the physical body, but our head and heart also can be brought in. And he who can bring all these three aspects of personality at once into a field of activity works on in an inspired mode. Inspired work not only brings out high production in its efficiency, but also gives a greater dividend of joy to the worker himself. To work thus seems to be the very art of living that has been described in the Vedas, especially in the Gita. This method of activity in the world outside as a solution for the problem of man has been explained in the Gita in its own unique, involving language of poetry. Thus, if we work on in the world, involving the head and the heart where our hands work, the very work gains the stamp of great efficiency and enhances the joy of work for us. None of us will be complaining about lots of work because we would have enjoyed ourselves. We would not be stressed with work. Today, ask anybody, how are you? Stressed. Ask the doctor. Head is paining, back is aching, leg is paining, neck is hurting. What will the first thing they say? Must be stress. And we also accept, yes, stressed. We are talking of stress management. Why should you manage stress? Shouldn't you be kicking out stress from your life? Are you okay? We have made it so normal to be stressed. In fact, there is a great feather. I'm so stressed. And if somebody is stressed out, that person is doing so much, he's stressed out. It is unintelligent living if you're stressed out. You can be tired, physically tired, for which you rest for a while, and then magic should begin again. Stress. Everyone is stressed. Why? This art of living, we have forgotten. We are not applying. We are not looking at ourselves and our tasks intelligently. Otherwise, there's no reason to feel stressed. Not able to handle our jobs, stressed because of that. And then we blame it. No time. I'm so busy. How come the successful ones manage? They also have 24 hours a day only. Nobody has given them extra time. But somehow we are too busy, especially city people, too busy doing something which we do not know. We do not know where we are going, but we have to be seen to be busy. This busyness of business, business of busyness, all caught up in this web. Learn to walk out of it. Then only you will realize life is beautiful. This one lifetime we have, how have we made ourselves slaves of the clock, of societal demands? As the mind, so the man. Let's begin reading from there. In the outer world of bitter competition and immoral strife, each one of us is compelled to battle constantly with things and beings. Deep within ourselves also, we have become helpless slaves to our uncontrollable desires and undisciplined thoughts. Thus, the modern man comes to be torn asunder between the two forces, the objective tensions and the subjective confusions. The external threats and challenges are bound to reach us time and again, and none can escape them. Hence, the success and joy of one's life is measured by the extent of control one has over the inner subjective confusion. In our experiences in life, we fall into detestable environments and distressing circumstances which provoke and enrage us, and we despair for a solution. Such heart-burning protests and head-turning anger weaken our inner personality. And this weakness lends strength and might to our external challenge. In short, instead of braving the challenges, we render ourselves impotent and inefficient and allow the external challenge to crush and consume. External challenges, and none can escape. Everybody is facing a challenge. Let's not assume that my neighbor doesn't have those many challenges. The neighbor has simply learned, if he doesn't seem to be talking of strife and being busy and not able to manage, it's no feather in his cap. He has learned how to handle it. One must learn from such people. A person who is truly successful and who has work under his control, he is not stressed about his work, always manages time for everything. He makes time. But when they are not able to handle, they make this excuse, I have no time. There is no time to do this. It can happen once in a while. It cannot be an everyday affair. We must recognize this is a subjective confusion. If this subjective confusion has been addressed, then external challenges can be handled. This we must recognize. If everyday external challenges are getting, then there is something wrong. You're not in sync with what you need to be doing. In our day-to-day experiences in the civilized and modern society, most of our actions seem to emanate from the realm of our mind, and we are misled by feelings instead of being guided by our intellectual discipline. This is another thing. We do a thing because we feel like doing. The intellect is generally divorced from the mind. There is, therefore, no discrimination and considered choice in our actions. Such actions, depending upon the whims and fancies of our feelings, are detrimental and dangerous to our welfare and prosperity. Religion helps us to keep our intellect alert and apply its faculty of discrimination to the choice of right action at every moment of our life. Being guided by proper discrimination, such actions become dynamic and productive, and they bring about peace and cheer in society. Very true. Ask anybody why he's doing whatever he's doing. Mostly he will say, because I like it. Why is he unhappy? Because he couldn't get to do something that he liked to do. Do we ever find someone saying, hey, why are you doing this? Because it's the right thing to be done. This is the right thing to be done should be the answer. Not because I feel like. But most of us think, if I get to do what I feel like, I'm free. Freedom is doing whatever I think is right. You are becoming a slave to your mind. If it is not guided by this intellectual discrimination, and if you recognize that you do not know what is the right thing to do, if you're aware, please seek help. Go and ask an elder. Go and ask an expert. Go and ask a teacher, a spiritual teacher. What is to be done in this situation? And whether I like it or no, if that is what is right thing to be done, I should be ready to do it. And this way, when I am doing the right thing, it can never be detrimental to me. But when I am doing whatever I feel like, it will come with its own pain and misery. You will have to be accountable for it. You will not be able to account for it later in life. You'll recognize this. That's why in our culture, so much emphasis was given to doing what is right. What has to be done needs to be done. And this is what is called sanskara. It was so beautiful. One of the days during the yatra, our daytime halt, when we were crossing the Kasara Ghat, we had climbed 17 kilometers. And there was only one Adivasi Pada. It's a hamlet of 12 families, Adivasis living. We had gone there previously and told them that this way we would be coming, we'll spend time, we'll have lunch there, we want to rest here. Natural scenic beauty, beautiful place. We'll just get refreshed and then start our walk again, because there were no hotels or Mangal Karyalays, lawns or marriage halls or anywhere that we could find. So when we went there, we all rested. So beautifully they welcomed us. Huh? And they were speaking to us very nicely. These people are called Adivasis because I think they are the original natives of that land. But let us not think them to be without any culture. They seemed far more cultured in their behavior and conduct. When it was time for lunch and we were going to serve lunch, all the yatris came out to eat. I just noticed it was in minutes they had their huts. Suddenly they all disappeared. Children were also not to be seen. So we all had our food and we had told them that even they could join, but they were not available. Suddenly they just disappeared. We all finished our food, and as we were wrapping up washing the plates, all the children came out and everybody came out. It is just so that children don't come and bug us or wonder what we are eating. Who taught them this? But the sanskara was there. And all the children, the mothers they didn't have to tell anything. They just moved, called the children in, all the children walked in. This is the way you have to be. Nobody questioning, nobody throwing a tantrum. I want to go out. I want to be with those people. Why are you calling me inside? Young, very little ones also. This is the training that goes on. Today, I am told that even in schools, urban and especially elite schools, teachers have told me that students don't even listen to them, forget about listening to their parents. And the teachers are not supposed to say anything. That's the most, I would say, unfortunate. Because we are becoming slaves to our mind. These children will not be able to face challenges, who are not able to take a no. Teach your children to take a no. The world is not going to be like home, where yes, yes, yes to everything that children say. And then when they go to deal with the world outside, they only get to hear a no, no, no. Rejection is something they cannot fix. So this intellectual discrimination is very important. So this paragraph, the mind is like the receiving clerk in any office. Though the clerk receives the mail, he does not take action on them, but puts them to the officer in charge for his direction and advice of disposal. But if the clerk chooses to take action directly without consulting the officer, there is bound to be confusion and chaos in that organization. Thus, this, in short, is the sad state of affairs about the human system of the modern age. Our minds receive impulses from the external world and we respond directly without the guidance or control of the intellect, which is the officer in charge within the body politic. Consequently, there is confusion and chaos within, leading naturally to dissatisfaction and discontentment in life. Therefore, Vedanta Vichar is all about right thinking. So we are told how to think. Our school simply tells us what has to be studied and what has to be thought about, how it has to be, and question answers given, we have read and we have puked it out during exams, and then that's over. How to think? Who is going to teach us? Right thinking and vigilance is important. Right, developing the right attitude. That's an educated mind also. Is capable of holding ideas and discriminating between them. Mind is the man, as the mind, so the individual. If the mind is disturbed, the individual is disturbed. If the mind is good, the individual. This mind, for purposes of our study and understanding, may be considered as constituted of two distinct sides. One facing the world of stimuli, that reach it from the objects of the world, and the other facing the within, which reacts to the stimuli thus received. The outer mind facing the object is called the objective mind. In Sanskrit, we call it the manas. And the inner mind, called the subjective mind, in Sanskrit called the buddhi. The individual is whole and healthy in whom the objective and the subjective aspects of his mind work in harmony with each other. And at moments of doubts, the objective mind readily comes under the disciplining influence of the subjective mind. It doesn't do its own thing. This divorce between the subjective and the objective is mainly created by a layer of egocentric desires entertained by the individual. The greater the distance between these two aspects of the mind, the greater the inner confusion in the individual, and the greater the egoism and low desires which such an individual exhibits in his life. This is why you will see, be it in the army or the defense forces, where they have to deal with external stimuli. Because if there is a war, it's an external thing. They are fighting a real war. There is no gap. There should be no gap between the subjective and the objective. So even when there is no war, the defense personnel, they will act in accordance to their higher. They practice that protocol all the time. If the senior has said right, they will turn right. They will not say, Senior, I think you're making a mistake. Senior, we practiced right yesterday. Let's do left today. Senior, let's take a break today. Nothing. He says right, right. The senior could be wrong. All of them are going to die. They will die. If they're meant to fall, they will fall. But they will follow the command of the senior. Such a discipline is required even for spiritual evolution. If between a shishya and a guru, when the guru says right, you say, okay, Guru, I have heard you. And then the guru is waiting when you're going to do the right. Guru, I thought today is Somvaram, So let me finish my Somvar chanting. I am on Vrata today. I will not go right. I will start from tomorrow. Spiritual evolution is gone for us. Understand? Because the Guru's whole purpose is to bring the subjective and objective together. If he is constantly correcting, it is because he wants the gap between the two to come close. In fact, the gap should disappear. But what is happening? Our own egocentric desires, our own thinking is there in between. I want to prove something. Even with my guru, I want to prove something. So then what happens? This ego center keeps getting expressed and evolution is that much more difficult it becomes. So through the 5 gateways of knowledge, the organs of perception, jnanendriyas, all of us experience the world of objects around us at all moments of our waking state. The innumerable stimuli that come to react with our sense organs, receptors, create impulses which reach the objective mind. Now, what are the 5 gateways of knowledge or the organs of perception, which is called jnanendriya? Indriya is a sense organ. Jnanendriya is the sense organ of perception because it gives us the knowledge of the world. So how are we receiving this knowledge? With my eyes, I see and I gain knowledge. Color, form, size, everything. Through the ears, all sound. So language, music, good, bad, whatever it is I'm hearing, that I get knowledge of the world. Likewise, through the nose, through the skin through the tongue. All of these five sense organs of perception are called jnanendriyas. When I taste food, I know what kind of food. In my skin, I can make out whether it's warm or cold and whatever. Everything about the world is known through these impulses filter down to the subjective mind through the intervening layers of the egocentric desires in us. These impulses, thus reaching the subjective mind of a person, react with the existing impression of his own past actions that are stored away carefully in the subjective layer and get themselves expressed in the world outside through the five organs of actions, which is called karmendriyas. The five organs of action, which is karma, indriya. Indriya is sense of organ and karma, it is an activity. Okay, so what are these five sense organs of action? It is again tongue, speech, because action of speech happens through it. Our hands, legs, then we have the genital organs for reproduction and the anus, which is for throwing off, evacuating all what is not required. Excretion. So these five organs of action also is the one which expresses. But what happens? The stimuli is received, it goes through the subjective mind, but the subjective mind has our desires, it has past memories, it crosses through all this and then responds. Clear, no? Go through that diagram which is there in the book. The diagram A gives figuratively the design of each activity as man performs in the world outside when he consciously comes to react with any given set of stimuli. At each moment, man receives different sets of these stimuli and thus constantly gathers new impressions in his subjective. Every new set of impulses reaching it not only adds to the existing layers of impressions already in it, but also gets itself colored by the quality of these vasanas coded within. Thus, when they are translated into action, those actions carry the flavor of the existing vasanas in the subjective mind. All of us live our life meeting constantly a variety of experiences, and at each incident, we perceive, react with the perceived, and act in the outer field. In this process, we invitingly come to hoard in ourselves more and more of the dirt of new impression. The subjective mind in each of us gets more and more granulated by the overlapping signatures of our own past moments. These granulations make the subjective mind dull and opaque and form, as it were, an impregnable wall between ourselves and the spiritual divinity that shines as pure consciousness in all of us, deep within the core of our personality. See here, read it again if you want. Don't get confused when he said, subjective and objective mind. The subjective is what is within, how we process every experience that we receive from the world. Constantly, something is triggering. Things are happening. We are constantly judging, watching, observing, comparing. All these things are so instantaneously happening, we are not even noticing that it is happening. And the subconscious mind, the mind is so powerful. We may be consciously participating, and it is psychologists say that only 20% of the conscious mind is actually working in the waking state. A lot of it is happening subconsciously. So at this moment, we are attending class and we are paying attention to so many things. The subconscious mind is picking up a lot more than we are even consciously aware. So when these psychologists, and this is where, either through hypnosis, or they have certain methods, techniques to go into the mind of the person, when they ask them these questions, they are taken into deep state of relaxation. The subconscious mind throws many other things also that it has noticed, which we are not aware of. We have all come here, and all of us, we are in this room, so we are noticed. But if I ask you, what was the color of the shirt that Krishna was wearing? He's here, right here. You would say, oh, I don't remember. I was so focused on the class, I didn't bother to see. But then, if I take you into a process, a technique of questioning the subconscious mind, and allow the conscious mind to just relax and not participate in it, the subconscious will tell you exactly what happened. So it is stored in the mind. It is not all gone away. Understand? And later, after a point of time, whatever is important according to my own subjective mind, my knowledge, my past experiences, my aspirations, all of this keeps only those things that are required for me, again venting out the others. So the color of t-shirt was not important to me, so I have forgotten after 24 to 48 hours. Even from the subconscious, it's gone. But suppose it was important to me, what my child, what my husband, what my girlfriend was wearing on that day, if it was important to me, it will remain. After 20 years, I will say, that day when you came home, you were wearing that red sari. You fought with my mother in that red sari. That red sari, why is it important? But it has stuck in the mind. This is how what we call impressions are stored. And those impressions are dependent upon our vasanas. What is important to us? Our previous experiences. So I had a girlfriend, I had a boyfriend, I was so much in love, and I thought I would take this, to the next level, and we have been going steady and we want to get married. And now we broke off. She was short and plump. So the next time I see a short and plump girl, I don't want to get in, because she may be an absolutely wonderful person, a new person, nothing to do with my ex. But what does my mind tell me? This is not for you. See, she's short. Where is this coming from? It's not reality. It is not about the truth of who that person is. It has nothing to do. But it's a subjective experience that comes in between all the time. So any stimulus that comes from the outside, I am going to, and then sometimes this takes a collective turn also. Be very careful about this. Therefore, people with pointed nose, they are very intelligent. Who's done any study on this? But it comes to be in the community. Everyone is talking. People with large ears are very intelligent. People who are very short should not be trusted. People who are dark are this way. People who are fair are this way. It's all subjective, depending on our own. And when we meet four such people who also believe the same, that becomes the norm. It's normal, no? It's not, it's abnormal. It's abnormal. There is no truth to it. And as spiritual seekers, we must seek the truth in anything. We must look for the fact and not be carried away by our impulses and our feelings of what we say, no? Likes and dislikes. This is where we go wrong. We shall read this paragraph on the integrated mind. A problem becomes a problem only when we know not the solution to the problem. Isn't it? I know very, very often this happens. When I don't know what to do, I'm upset. If there is a problem and I know what to do, I'm ready to sort it out. There is the problem is not gone. But I feel, it can be. Like when you go to the doctor, head is aching. Doctor checks, does all the tests, can't find out why the head is aching. Then that becomes a real problem. Doctor says, hey, this is big brain tumor, cancer of the head or whatever. Acha, we know what it is. No, next what do you do? How to take that? I'm relieved. The problem is not gone, but diagnosis has happened. So you see, solution, because I do not have a solution to the problem, I think there is a problem. Thus, life is a problem when we know not how to meet the life's challenges rising around. The stimuli coming from the external world, as they touch the objective mind, creates therein a problem to solve which it needs the guidance of the rational capacities of the intellect, the subjective. When the individual is split within, his mental personality, divorced from the intellect, cannot easily come to any decision. The egoistic self-evaluation and ego-created intense anxieties for the fruits of action stands, as it were, between the mind and the intellect, separating them and creating between them an almost unbridgeable gulf. No judgment of the world outside can be true unless we eliminate from our bosom our selfish ego. By rising above our own ego alone, can we correctly discriminate the world of happenings around us from universal standards of values and from righteous ideals of an equally universal norms of vision. This true judgment, through right vision, is always impossible without surrendering our ego and positively rising above its enslaving shadow. This is what Sri Rama was also taught by his guru. Because this affects each one of us, isn't it? We do not have to have a Ravana-like enemy to fight. But in day-to-day life, what am I to do in this situation? This comes up in a student's life, in a young adult's life, which job to take, which to drop, isn't it? Should I go out of my home to another city to find my job while I have an ailing parent at home? Can become a dilemma, can put a youth into a dilemma. So he has to know. The subjective mind has to take the right decision. So this can happen only when we raise ourselves beyond our ego. When we have acted with egocentric desires, we usually find ourselves less, our actions, even later in life, we don't think very highly about us. That is why in our culture, we constantly keep saying, watch the ego. Let the ego not transcend. This surrendering of ego can be very beneficial in the long run. It is initially difficult to consume. To bring the subjective and objective aspects of the mind together into a happy marriage, where the objective mind is well disciplined to act faithfully as per the guidance of the subjective mind, is yoga. This is accomplished only by the removal of the divisive factor, our egocentric desires. Buddhi Yoga is the typical word used in the Gita to indicate this depth meaning of yoga, and it is self-explanatory. So, when the objective mind is well disciplined to act faithfully as per the guidance of the subjective mind, is called yoga. This is accomplished only by the removal of the divisive factor. Which is the divisive factor? Our egocentric desires. See, the Shastras and the Rishis, the masters, they have nothing against desires, remember. Desires are there. There are these desires which can be and need to be fulfilled also, which are legitimate, which are allowed, sanctioned by the Shastras. There is no problem, which are natural to human beings. So you are of an age and you want to study. You are of marriageable age, you want to marry. You are married and you want to have children. All of that is allowed. They are not against you. But egocentric desires, we should really look into this. Come what may, I want to get this. By hook or by crook. Today's world, external. There is a great trust and encouragement for such kind of behavior. That is why there is a lot of confusion collective. That is why there is no trust and faith in the other. But the scriptures say egocentric desires need to be exhausted, eliminated, or sublimated. You have to find ways of working it. And then there is this diagram B. Please go through it. As the diagram B represents, when this happy union between subjective and objective aspects of mind has taken place, thereafter that equanimous yogin becomes skilled in action. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. As he, with his objective mind, reacts intelligently and faithfully to the external stimuli, and his actions become, as it were, a purgation of the already existing vasanas in his subjective mind. Thus, through intelligent action, an individual can exhaust his existing impressions and ultimately redeem his subjective mind from much of its granulation and make it more and more clear and crystalline. This is important. So there is sacrifice required. There is effort required. And this sacrifice is an aspiration. It is something that in our culture, we aspire to do. Somehow it has gained such negative connotations because an ego-centered person also speaks of sacrifice. He is sacrificing for a greater name for himself. That is selfish. We must understand. Ego-centered desires must be eliminated. This way, when we perform any action, it is always intelligently done with lot of energy. Spiritually viewed, the subjective mind is thus the secret weapon in man to be used as an outlet for the existing impressions that we have come to be stored up in it. But the tragedy is that the average man, in his ignorance, misuses this double edged weapon and brings about his own annihilation. He uses it as an inlet and creates, during his selfish activities performed with low motives, a new stock of mental impressions. An unhealthy mind, divided in itself, as we explained earlier, becomes an easy prey to a host of psychological diseases. Weakened in its constitution, it easily becomes an easy victim to all contagions. So, what is this unhealthy mind? Which is divided in itself and full of selfish activities. Mind is only working towards selfish goals. I, me, mine. Will come to suffer. Simply in the way actions are being performed. There is no magic to it. There is no extraordinary something that is working in. It is a statement of fact. So today we conclude here. We also conclude the chapter 4, and next class we will start from chapter 5. Do go through whatever is being said, and any questions, we can take it up for discussion. You write in the group or even personally. So shall we conclude for today? Oh. Namadah Purnamidam Purnat Namudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.